Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I posted the drafting of this overall corset I recreated. If you have not seen the cutting part, I'll put the link on my description box. Please make sure you check it out. Today's video is the sewing tutorial. Please make sure you watch till the end because I'll be showing you many tricks to sew a perfect overall corset and how to cage your bust very well so that it doesn't get flat after sewing. And also subscribe to my channel if you find my video helpful. Okay, I've gone ahead to place my pattern on my fabric. I first of all iron my hairstay on my fabric just to save my time. This one I'm holding is my modesty panel. I'll be cutting it out later. As you can see, I added ½ inch all around my cut out pieces, both for side seam sewing allowance. As this video progresses, you understand the reason for that. So I've cut all of out. I added ½ inch for the side seam sewing allowance instead of normal 1 inch or 1.5 inches we used to add. For this side I have sharp point. I cut it as square so that if I'm joining it I will not have any issue. Can you see? This is how you cut it. For my lining I used off face satin. I cut my lining the same way I cut my main fabric and I iron my hairstay on it just to stabilize it. You can use any other interface of your choice for your line. Okay, the next thing is to show you how I cut my modesty panel. I folded my fabric the same way you are seeing it here. I'll measure what I have here. I will replace it and I'll add extra 5 inches. I will do the same thing on the waist. Add extra 5 inches. And I'll add my sewing allowance on the down part and the upper. After cutting it, I notch the upper part. After that, I'll show you how I cut my wording. For this part, I won't be doing too much talking because I believe that most of us here can cut and sew breast part. If you don't know how to cut it, I have a tutorial on that. Just watch carefully what I'm doing, you understand. It's not hard. I reduce it by 1 inch so that it will not obstruct when I'm turning it with my lining. Can you see the allowance that I'll use to join the side front? That's why I left ½ inch allowance there. So I will now go ahead and cut the front part. I also reduce the front by 1 inch on the next side. I've cut all my pieces out the same way I cut my wording for my main fabric. I also do the same thing for my lining. I did that one off camera so that we won't waste too much time here. Can you see what I have? You arrange it. That's why it's good to label your pattern so that it will guide you on how to join it. So I'll go ahead and iron my wording on my main fabric so that it can stick together. As you can see, I will arrange my hemming gum on my fabric and I'll place my wording on it and iron it very well. I will also do the same thing on my lining. I will arrange it according to how I label it and I will pin it to secure it. I will advise you to pin all the front pieces down before going to your sewing machine. I will mark it now to guide you on how to sew. Please take your time to sew your cuff area. Use that ½ inch you added for the sewing allowance to sew your cuff. If you don't sew your cuff very well, it will not come out well. For the lining part, also do it that way because if you don't sew your lining very well, if you finish caging your bust, everything will just fall flat. I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew it and come back and show you the next thing to do. Okay, this is when I was done sewing it. Can you see what I have? I sew it for my lining and for my fabric and I notch the under bust. Notch it for your lining and for your fabric so that it will relax very well. So I will use my tailor's hammer now to open press the seam and iron it very well. Please take your time and iron. Iron the wrong side and flip it to the right side and give it a good ironing. Use a steam iron to iron it. If you don't have a steam iron, sprinkle water on it. Can you see what I have? I've open pressed it both for my lining and for my main fabric. It's coming out already. Can you see? So the next thing now is to mark how I will be placing my boning for bust caging. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. For your bust caging, you mark round the cup just as you are seeing in this video. After marking round the neckline with ½ inch, you mark around your armhole or your under bust. Then I will now mark in between my bust point Can you see how I'm marking it? To mark the width. You can add another boning channel here if you want. You add here and this side too. So I will add it now. So after that, I'll be trimming off my excess sewing allowance, because that's where I will be placing my boning. Just trim it off. To sew it, I'll go to my sewing machine and sew it, but before then I'll show you how I place it. I'll just sew it round. I'll sew it at the tip. Can you see? Just make sure you sew it round without cutting the boning. Can you see what I have when I was done sewing it? I make sure I leave this part open because I will be inserting the middle one inside. Can you see how I stitch it? Just take your time and sew it. You can use your manual machine to achieve this so that you can control the speed. So for the middle one now, I will start with the bust point. Can you see how I place? Make sure you stretch it out so that you won't have any folding at the right side. So I will insert it this way. I will insert this part here and I will stitch at the two edge. As you are stitching, make sure you are stretching it so that after sewing you will not have any folding. So I will go ahead now and sew it and come back and show you the next thing to do. I've sewn all the boning down. Can you see what I have? This side is still open because I have other boning left that I will insert on it. I forgot to tell you, when you are sewing, make sure that your boning is facing this way. Can you see how I face my boning? That's how yours will face, so that if you finish sewing, you can mold your bustier anyhow you want. So see the way I will insert it now, and I will close it. I will stitch it down. Take your time and stitch it down. This is not hard, it's very simple. Just make sure you practice how to do this. You find out that there's nothing there. Can you see what I have? Can you see the ones that I've done? See how the right side is looking very neat because I make sure I stretch it out as I sew. Can you see? I'm done sewing everything. The cup is coming out already. The next thing is to give it a good ironing. I will use my tailor's hand to iron it. Make sure you mold it. Can you see how I use my hand to form the bra cuff the way I want it? After doing that, you iron the under bust. Just take your time to give it a good ironing. I'll just place my main fabric now for you to see. It's coming out already. Can you see? Make sure you turn your lining to this side and iron it. Can you see I'm forming the bustier? That's how you would do it. So the next thing now is to do our fleshing. If you look at my fiber, you see that it's very thick, so I'll be separating the ones that I will use. I did 3 layers and I'll place it together. I will just cut the one that will be enough for me. Can you see what I'm doing? I will place it. Use your pin to hold it round. Take your time, pin it down. On the under bust, I will do a little pleating so that my under bust will not be flat. It will pop out. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll use my pin, hold it there. I'll still hold it on the other cup, fold it a little. After securing it with a pin, you can use your hemming gun to iron it down. You just insert your hemming gun inside. Use your hot iron to iron it down, but I will be stitching it round. I think that will be better for me. I've done it already. Can you see what I have? The bustier is already formed. So the next thing now is to encase our boning channel on the main fabric. So I've cut out straps of fabric that I'll use for my boning casing. The width is 1 inch. You can cut as many as you want. After sewing it, this is how it will look like. You trim off the excess sewing allowance. I'll use my pin now to turn the loop to the right side. I will just insert my needle inside and I will push it out. This is what you have. The width of my boning is 1/2 inch, so the boning casing I created is 1/2 inch also. So after that, what you will do now, is to insert the boning inside the loop. This is the easiest way to do it. Before that, I iron it very well. I make sure it's flat, sure that the seam line is at the middle. You will now insert your boning the way you see me doing. After inserting the boning, this is what you have. If you watch close, you see how my seam line is facing. Before I place my boning casing, we make sure that the seam line is facing the fabric. The side facing me is very smooth. I will stitch on the both sides. You place it this way, push your bustier inside. As you sew, you stretch it out. Make sure you take your time and sew it, do not rush. When you're placing your boning, make sure that the side that is bending is facing the fabric. Can you see the shape of the boning? I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew. I'll add like 9 boning channels. I'll sew it and come back and show you. This is what I have. Can you see the boning channel that I have placed on my fabric? I will use my tailor's hand to iron it out. Just form it the way you want. Use your steam iron to iron it. If you don't have steam iron, sprinkle water. Make sure you iron it very well. Can you see how my boning is facing up? If you don't want your boning to be bending, if you sit, make sure you place your boning the way I place mine. This is what you have when you're done. So the next thing I will be doing now is to sew the back. For the back parts, I will remove my pins. When I was cutting my pattern, I make sure I label my pattern and use arrow to indicate where I will be joining the other parts. I'll go to my sewing machine and join the 2 sides back. So for my lining, I will join one side. So the other side, I will be inserting my modesty panel. So I will show you how I will do that later. If you have watched up to this length and you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly hit the subscribe button for more interesting videos. Alright, so I'll join this part now and I will sew my modesty panel around, and I will leave one side open so that I can turn it inside out. I'll come and show you how to attach your modesty panel. I've sewn it. I also iron it. I open the seam and iron it very well. I make sure I notch the waistline. So for this side, I use my hard corset to iron it. The side I'll be attaching my eyelets, I use hard corset to stabilize it. That's what I normally do. So for one part of the lining, I will insert my modesty panel this way. Just watch what I'm doing, you will get it right. I will place it, making sure I have ½ inch up and down that I'll use to turn it with the lining. I will join it this way. I'll do it now and come back and show you what you will have. So I also encase my boning channel on this. I'll first of all sew with ½ inch, leave where I will put my eyelets, and I will do another one. I will do it and show you what you have. Can you see what I did? Can you see? I left 1 inch for my eyelet. See the line where I attach my modesty panel. Alright, so I'll be turning the front part with the lining. I'll turn the armhole side, I'll turn the neckline. I will hold it with my pin first. I will also turn the back part with lining for the 2 side back. If this is your first time coming across to my channel, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, turn on your notification bell so you get notified once I upload a new video. I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew it and come back. This is what I have when I was done. I will notch the armhole side, just notch the cuff part. I forgot to tell you, when I was sewing, I used my hemming gum to turn the neckline and the armhole so that if I turn it and iron it, it will stick together. I also did the same thing for the back parts. So after notching it, I will turn it to the right side now for you to see what I have. Can you see how I attach my modesty panel? Can you see how it's laying very nice and fine? This is how you're supposed to be looking like when you are done sewing it. Can you see the space that we remove when we are cutting it? I remove 1.5. It's supposed to be 3 inches if you unfold it. So for my front, I will make sure I push my lining where I attach my boning out, push it out and stretch it. As you push it out, you use your pin to hold it so that you will not have any folding. Push it the way you see me doing. Just take your time and arrange it very well. Can you see what I'm doing here? Arrange it very well. Can you see my underbust? Everything is coming out the way I want it. After doing that, I can now stitch the two sides down. After stitching it down, I'll also do the same thing for the back part. So before I join the back and front together, I'll be inserting my plastic boning to give it more structure. Boning will stop on my underbust, so if you like you can extend it to the chest line, but I want mine to stop on the underbust. After cutting it, I will use my lighter to burn it so as to smoothen it. After that, I will now insert it the way you see me doing. I will also do the same thing on my back, especially where I will be attaching my eyelets to give it a good structure. Before I join the front and back, I will check whether my bustier is giving me what it should give. So I will use the pieces of the fiber to fill it up so that it will stand out very well. Just a little. Can you see what I have? This is the trick that so many people don't know. So I've done inserting my plastic boning. I will iron it very well. The next thing is to join the front and back together. Before that, I will spread it out the way you see me doing. I will use pin to hold it. After holding it, I will secure it and I will shape the front and back. You all know how we normally shape our dress together. In this case, I'll be joining it outside. That's the reason why I did not add too much sewing allowance. That is a size seam allowance. So after closing it, I will trim off the excess fabric because I will still be placing my boning there. I'll be placing my boning on the two sides. So after trimming it off, I will notch the waistline so that it will relax very well. So I will now place my boning and sew on it. Before I place my boning, I'll make sure I open press it and iron it very well. Can you see what I have at the wrong side? Very neat. You iron it very well. So after that, I will be placing my boning on the two sides. I also insert my plastic boning after sewing my boning on the two sides. So this is what I have when I was done. I will go ahead and insert my plastic boning, but this plastic boning will get to my armhole area. If you like, you can stop on your waistline. So I will do it on the both sides now. This is what I have when I was done. Can you see what I have? I'll also stitch it down too. You trim it a little. Can you see what I have? So I've cut a strap of fabric. I measured the width of 2.5 and the length is what I have here. I added extra 4 inches so that I won't rush shortage of fabric. So what I will do now is that I will fold it this way and I will stitch with 1/2 inch. Just take your time and stitch it round. After stitching it, you turn it 2 times and you top stitch on the right side the way you see me doing. Trim off the excess fabric. I know majority of us here know how to do piping. This is how you're supposed to be looking like when you are done sewing. Can you see the neat finish? I will now attach my eyelet and I will show you how I sew the net part. This is not hard. This is just normal way of sewing a basic dress. I did not add zipper allowance when I was drafting the pattern, so I've added it already. So the first thing I'll do now is to close the front darts. I'll close the front dart. I'll also sew my 1/2 inch dart for the back part. Just sew it. After sewing it, this is what you have. I've gone ahead to attach my zip. I use my bias to pipe the neckline. Can you see? You pipe it very neatly. Close the two sides. I've cut my basic sleeve. I have a detailed tutorial on how to do that. I'll go ahead and attach it. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel so that I can show you how I cut the skirt part. I show you in detail how to cut and sew the skirt part. Thanks for watching.